CEO Wisdom Pod with Eric Martindale. Today, he is CEO at Elite Commerce Group, also the founder. Quite excited to talk with him. He's got a military background, one of my favorite backgrounds, as they teach you discipline and order and structure, which is essential to scale. He made Fortune 5000 list in short couple of years. So I'm really excited to talk about Amazon Marketplace, e-commerce, everything in between. This podcast brought to you by my company, podfire.com. If you want to start, scale, or get invited to a podcast, I mean, insights, getting great subscribers, getting leads, getting guests like Eric, and even getting clients. Podcasting is the way to go. Podfire.com for that. Eric, I'm glad to have you on the pod. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and your company?
Yeah, Charles, thanks for having me. I'm excited, ready to go here. Elite Commerce Group is an end-to-end true omni-channel e-commerce marketplace management company. We do work on 24 marketplaces. So we launch and grow brands on anything from Amazon to Walmart, Instagram to Instacart. We do just about everything e-commerce related, from SEO to digital ad management to fulfillment and FBA prep in the warehouse behind that wall, to even custom integrations for some of our bigger clients. And we are, I guess, culturally, we are forward-leaning. We have a culture of futurism and R&D testing, and basically bringing our clients into the forward-leaning edge of e-commerce.
So I believe that folks that spend time in the Marine, in your case, in the military, in your case, the Marine, I think that they have a slight advantage and even a potential moat against their counterparts, because they've learned the hard way. They've learned structure, they've learned discipline and getting up at 5 a.m., making your bed and so forth. What impact did the Marine Corps had on you, and how are you bringing that in your current business nowadays?
That is that's a great question. There are definitely advantages, I think, in terms of leadership. I spent most of my time in the Marine Corps as an officer, so you get some really good leadership schools, you get some really good leadership experiences, and just in terms of team building and understanding how important people are and mentorship is, like you said before, structure, systems, building systems and SOPs, and running the company and growing through systems. Those are things that were probably intuitive to me. At the same time, I would say there were some things that I was challenged with, that I was missing, because I didn't have a background in business, and I have counterparts right now in other agencies where they came up in an agency or they came up in business, and so they have skill sets that I didn't have, and they bring things to the table that I had to learn. So some advantages and some disadvantages as well.
How did you make it to Fortune 5000 in that short amount of time? Do you think discipline's part of it? Do you think being at the right place at the right time? Do you think that's the niche, the team? How would you attribute your fast success?
Well, we were Inc. 5000. I would say some of it is just risk taking. It is, a lot of times when you scale quickly, you have to make decisions before they make sense on paper, or before they make sense in terms of dollars and cents. And I wouldn't say that necessarily throwing a Hail Mary is the right answer, but you're constantly taking risks. Every time you normalize a stage of growth, you're already planning for the next stage of growth. So I think risk for sure is part of it. I think those systems that we mentioned before, as well as anyone, as a founder, you can only drive so much and so far yourself, and then it becomes about people and systems. So if you lay down your systems correctly and you get the right people in place to execute those systems, then you can scale. If you don't have systems and you're cobbling everything together, you are not going to be able to scale past a certain point.
When these risks go wrong, when you land on the other side of the risk that you didn't thought would happen. How do you manage the stress and all the shit that comes with it?
What a great question. I think part of it is really, really being goal focused, and you can't let go of that goal. And I have made that mistake myself, where I've had mornings where I've gotten up and I've thought all I do is, just put out fires and try to keep from, honestly, a lot of scaling is to try to keep things from dragging your company under. The bigger the company gets, the bigger those negative pressures get. But I think constantly putting that goal back in front of you and redeveloping new goals every year, and every time you hit a milestone, setting the next goal is extremely important, because otherwise you end up focused on all the wrong things. As humans, we're negative and we tend to focus on negativity. So if you don't put that positive goal in front of you, you can very easily end up in a downward spiral. The second piece of that, which is actually pretty closely related, I think, is having peers that are doing similar things. My best friend is scaling a robotics company right now, and it has been extremely valuable having somebody that knows exactly what you're going through, because it's not something, as you can explain it to your mom all you want. You can explain it to your other friends all you want, and they can say, oh, I understand, but they don't. So I think having a peer in it doesn't have to be in the industry, but a peer that's scaling alongside of you is extremely beneficial.
100%. That's why I started level96.com, which is my mastermind. We mastermind with other CEOs on a monthly basis, and I could have you in the same room as your very competition, which is controversial to do. But, if you follow the game theory, if you mastermind with your competition, both of you will be stronger and the rest will not be stronger. And these are free, by the way. And I record these masterminds. I'm not sure if you listen to the All In podcast, but it's kind of this style, like four of us just masterminding. I'm the moderator, so I don't get to speak much, but very powerful, because I've been also in that situation in which, can I talk to my wife about it? Yeah. I mean, she'll show empathy. She won't understand the reality, though, like the technical reality, because there's always two ways to fix a problem, right? The first one is technical and the second one is emotional. Emotional, she might ease my pain and say, okay, I understand, and listen to me and so forth. And the first one is technical. It's like, okay, to fix that, we need to do this, and that. So kind of stoic philosophy and so forth. And usually on these masterminds, obviously we don't always record these parts if the members don't want to, but there's a lot of pent up emotions, and it's like, we understand you. We've been there, we've done that, we've got out of this, because sometimes that's all we need, as entrepreneurs, someone to tell us that they've been there and they've done that, and that's how they got out of that crap. So thank you for sharing that. Next question for you. So my first business was a nootropic business. We sold on Amazon, we sold on e-commerce. But we didn't sell enough on Amazon to my taste. And if I would have to go back in time, because I had to shut that one down with a depth of 100K, I would be more on Amazon. I would buy ads. I would invest more in SEO and so forth. Is that correct thinking? Should I also get on Walmart's e-com? Should I also get on Costco? Because the problem with these platforms is that they would require us for huge quantities and huge orders if we would get accepted physically and online. Plus we had someone to take care of that, and they did a crappy job. Actually, we had to sue them because they had us in a contract and they weren't producing any results. So if I would have to start over again, what should I do with this supplement business?
That's a good question. I do want to say, as an agency, when somebody wants out of an agreement, an agency should let them go, because that means you are not doing your job. If you're doing your job, they don't want out. With that said, I think, Amazon is going to be the 900-pound gorilla in the room for quite some time. I would say that testing other marketplaces is the right answer, but it has to be the right marketplace for you. So when I said that we do work on 24 marketplaces, the brands that we work with, the clients that we work with, are not on all 24. They don't always make sense. They don't always make sense in terms of product fit or brand fit. They don't always make sense in terms of dollars and cents, economics. So I would say that Amazon is always going to be, for 99, at least 99 out of 100 brands, Amazon is going to be the core e-commerce focus. But I would say that if you are going to, you can always throw more money into Amazon advertising. And there are clever ways to do it. There are concepts like share of voice and other concepts that you can leverage. But I would say that if you're going to put more effort into growing a brand on Amazon, I would put a lot of that effort into TikTok and other social media and drive traffic. There are brands I am watching do that very well, and it is incredible. We had a brand that on Prime Day, through a social media campaign, 20x'd on the 2 days of Prime Day. So they basically did a month and a half, quick math, month and a half worth of sales in 2 days. So I think that is, yes, get good at ads. Yes, put the right amount of, investment into advertising. But if you really want to heavy barrel it, TikTok right now is the name of the game.
Yeah, TikTok's crazy. I remember my wife doing some TikTok posts and getting like 2 million in a couple of days organically,
Wow.
In the COVID days, when everyone was locked up and fixed on their phone. Yeah, I agree. What do you have to say though about, well, I mean, in D2C, yeah, sure, TikTok, but I remember a stat saying that like folks on TikTok make like $400 a year because most of them are kids. VS LinkedIn making 76K per year per user. I had that problem as well, like doing ads on Facebook and Insta. We were targeting students back in the days and then entrepreneurs. So we really had to narrow down the CPA. Some days we were in the green, some days we were in the red. Amazon shirt, it was organic, but yeah, they took a bit more margins. I still don't have like a clear master plan as per if I restart one day a product business, how can I scale it massively? For example, I have two ideas since I'm here in Oaxaca and Mexico. One would be selling mezcal, but luxury mezcal with like a very custom crystal bottle that would be made, for Eric. So like I could make a navy one, for example. And I would sell that literally for like 1,500 per bottle. So the margins would be there, would be a luxury product. And that's what I'm getting to, like luxury blends, because the other product is like alebrijes, is like this wooden sculpture that's painted in dots, by an artisan, and that can sell for like 30K each. And it's very lightweight to ship. So my only master plan for like a scalable e-commerce business would be in the luxury segment, because I think that brand is moat. And if you establish a brand after like 10 years, let's say, so it's a very long-term game, then I think it can scale solo, or at least I can sell it to like LVMH group after some time. What do you think about that thesis?
I love it for so many reasons. One, luxury brands, the right luxury brand, like, high luxury, people in the highest, earning brackets, they don't suffer during recessions and depressions. They maintain their purchasing power. Customization, I think, is definitely, I don't want to say it's hot, like it's a trend, but it's becoming more and more important. People want to stand out. They want something that cuts through the noise. I think that's a great idea. If it was me and I was bootstrapping it, I would focus first. I would set up the website, and I would focus on building out social media. And here's why I say that. We just partnered with a brand for an Amazon launch, and they have a series of restaurants, a small chain of restaurants. So they had some street cred already, but they had an active email list. They had an active Shopify store. They had active Instagram. When we launched on Amazon, it was magic because they drove off-platform traffic from existing fans and customers. So that's the way I would do it. I wouldn't launch on Amazon first. But customize products on Shopify and social media is just what a great niche to be in.
Right, because my brain wheels got spinning here, and it's like, well, maybe first the domain name to my luxury company, and then pretty much like find an artisan here in Mexico and make a very limited edition of something like three bottles, three alebrijes, and then and start at this very small scale, so that at least the time wheel can start spinning, and I can reach the 10 years eventually. The other thought that I had, let me know what you think about it, is just with the brand that I'm developing and all these CEOs I'm speaking to on a daily basis, I have like a very unique audience I don't think others have. What if I just partner with these brands and, I sell the final product at 1,200. They literally give me the product, or they get $100 off the 1,200. And they make the whole packaging, and to me on my end, I don't have to do any efforts. I get the brand, so I retain that underlying value. I get the cash, and I start like brand building. What do you think about the affiliate or pure influencer model?
I think that's extremely powerful. So we have a YouTube channel. I've had all these ideas of different things that I'd want to eventually get into. We have another brand we're focused on, where I could just have it out every time somebody got on the made a video. But that your idea made me think of, I just read a story of how The Rock approached a tequila brand. Now he has his own, but there was a time where he approached a tequila brand, and he offered, he wanted 2/3 of the equity of that brand and said, I'll promote the brand. And that company said no. Well, now if you look at The Rock's tequila brand now, it's worth billions. So I think there's a lot of, obviously we're not going to get The Rock, but well, never say never, but if we don't get The Rock, maybe it's not, billions, but I think there's so much, instant leverage you can get from doing it that way. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, The Rock, get the GOAT.
Yeah.
I've seen another model that caught my attention lately. It's like the white label model. So let's say that, and I think that can be a moat if executed properly. So let's say that I want to offer folks to start their own supplement brand, right? It's like selling pigs to minors. So I take care of the bottle. I take care of the branding and the printing. So once you have an order, I would need theoretically a machine that can label it with your logo. So that's somewhat complex, but doable. And I can do that at scale, So yeah, there's physical know-how and automation and so forth. And let's hope that your systems don't break. If that is that way, that would be the ideal system. It would be in real time. But I'm pretty much guessing that some of these companies, they ask for a minimum order. Okay, order 50 bottles and we'll print them for you, and then you can sell them to customers. But what do you think about that white label model, in which you can just have people print their brands on your product? You take care of the formula, the actual product, and they sell with their brand. Any thoughts on that?
I have thoughts on it. That's not my area of expertise, but I have seen it done. And the primary thought that comes to mind is, when how this goes, you and I both do, when you start a brand, it's so capital intensive, and you make a mistake and you've lost a lot of that capital, or you've gotten it tied up. Every time you try to take a growth step, it requires more capital. Whereas when you have a business like white label that's more cash based, at least a little bit more cash based, you're not outlaying as much capital. There's the capital intensity level, if you will, goes way down. So I think that, I've seen brands where they had a brand first and then went to white label. And now all of a sudden they're bringing in cash that helps them fund their brand. So I think there's a definite advantage to doing that in terms of cash flow.
Yeah. I think you can build an empire that way if done properly, but you need to invest quite a lot in machines and the systems, the software. You need to have the know-how. I think that would be one direction that I would take, apart from the luxury one, right? I want to get your take on GPT and how you're using it to improve your own systems, but also to improve the results that you get for your clients.
Wow. Well, the way we're using it, we don't use Chat GPT. We have an integration with OpenAI. So we're using GPT, which is behind it. And we're formatting data. So there's a couple of things that we're doing. We're using it for data analysis. And then we're also using it for, I mentioned those 24 marketplaces. Well, we have a couple of brands where they have a few thousand SKUs or a couple of thousand SKUs, they're client brands. And so every single one of those marketplaces requires different formatting. Some of it's wildly different. Some of it's extremely, specific. And so one of the primary ways that we're using OpenAI is to take a catalog of 2,000, writing a series of prompts, feeding that catalog in, and then getting it out. Maybe it was formatted for Amazon and now it's formatted for Macy's or another marketplace. So we're using it for that. And lastly, what we're trying to do now, we're still working on this, is an ability to format images in bulk. So a high volume of images where we're getting GPT to reformat in certain ways.
What do you think GPT-5 will bring to your business? What's the future here?
That is the question of the hour. I think everybody should be asking that question. I don't think enough people are. GPT-5 is supposed to be the biggest, the biggest step forward in generative AI so far since ChatGPT was launched. I'm nervous. If I'm honest with you, I'm nervous about being able to utilize it in full, because it is going to do so many more things. It is said that you can essentially create an entire movie, every part of a movie, with nothing but prompts, which is incredible. So how are we going to use it? I'm not sure yet. We are thinking about it. We're talking about the capabilities that we expect toward the end of the year. It probably will have to do with listings again, and image assets and maybe video assets. That's a big one. We can't get much out of GPT-4 in terms of video assets. We can't. I don't know if somebody else is. So that's probably a direction we'll go.
Love it, Eric. Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, LinkedIn. You can connect with me in person on LinkedIn, Eric Martindale. We have a YouTube channel, Elite Commerce Group with Eric Martindale, elitecommercegroup.com if you want to check out the website.
And I'm Charles Cormier, your host. That was a CEO Wisdom podcast with Eric Martindale. If you want to start your own podcast, go to podpire.com, start, scale, or get invited to podcast for growth, for